How's up, y'all? It's popping in. Steamy about to react to this vid by T Spill. It's titled "David Dobrik is in trouble. Trisha and Jeff expose everything." What is it? I've always felt like something is off with David Dobrik. I don't know what this tea is yet, but I feel like something is there. Something very heinous. Something about his face has never set well with me personally. And I know, he was loved for so many years. People loved his vlogs. They're just like, oh, he's so wholesome. Oh, this is great. Oh, he's so funny. Something ain't right. I don't know what it is, but something ain't right. Let's see what they expose in there. Let's watch.
Last week, we talked about Jeff Wittick and Trisha Paytas putting years' worth of issues behind them and coming together on Trisha's podcast and airing everything out. They bonded over the manipulation that they experienced during their time in the Vlog Squad and were able to find some common ground. Jeff talked about his accident and his current lawsuit, and overall, it was a really good podcast. They put their past behind them and were able to understand what each other was feeling during that time. Jeff was in his peak Vlog Squad days when Trisha was just leaving, and he was told that she was crazy, and that's what he believed. And on the other hand, Trisha saw Jeff as one of David's followers who stuck by him no matter what. Obviously, a lot has changed now, and that's why Trisha and Jeff has sat down together once again for an episode of Jeff FM. They got into more detail about their fallout, the famous Starbucks situation, and some major tea on Natalie. It's a mess, so let's get into it. Trisha Paytas sat down with Jeff this week to do Jeff FM, and if you guys have been following Trisha since her Vlog Squad days, then you'll know this is a pretty big deal. There was a time where Trisha and Jeff had major drama with each other, and it all stemmed from this Starbucks incident. During Just Trish last week, Jeff asked Trisha if they could save the Starbucks story for his podcast. She agreed, and now they're finally getting a conclusion on that whole mess. 4 years ago now, right after Trisha and Jason broke up, Trisha went on the Zach Sang show, and she was talking about David Dobrik, Jason Nash, and the rest of the Vlog Squad. Eventually, Jeff was brought up, and one of the hosts had mentioned how he found Jeff really entertaining and funny, and Trisha disagreed and said that she didn't really see the appeal of his content. That then sparked her to bring up the now famous Starbucks story. Trisha said that she had walked into Starbucks, she saw Jeff, and before they could even have any kind of interaction, he bolted out the door without getting his coffee order. Trisha poked fun at the situation, saying that he was scared of her, and expressed that she didn't like getting that reaction from him.
I saw him at Starbucks once, and he saw me, and he left without getting his coffee. He was so scared, he just bolted.
Why?
Yeah.
She said that she was still speaking to Jason as friends during this time, and she said that she never really had any issues with Jeff, so it left her really confused. Overall, Trisha really didn't say anything that bad. She was honest and said that she didn't get his content, which is understandable because I'm sure she wasn't his main demographic during that time. And she said that she found it strange that he would run out the door, leaving his sandwich and his coffee there.
Not his sandwich.
I'm
definitely taking that. I'm like, yeah, Jeff said it's cool.
Major offense to it. He responded to her Zach Sang interview during his podcast with Scotty Sire, and he was not happy with Trisha.
Somebody's going around on all these radio shows talking about how I saw them in Starbucks. And I didn't acknowledge them, and I turned around and walked out of the Starbucks without even making eye contact with this person because I don't have any respect for them. And if somebody, or one of my friends, I don't even make eye contact with them, I don't respect that person. I'm not gonna fake a handshake to avoid an awkward situation. I actually thrive on that awkwardness, and I like to make it more awkward. So maybe something will come out of it that I can make a big joke out of because I like that. I'm entertained by it. If you were one of my friends, I'm not going to see you out and pretend like, oh, hey, how you doing? Just to avoid that little awkward moment. I'm going to make it more awkward.
And this really set Trisha off. Jeff saying that Trisha disrespected his friends made her really upset because, as we know now looking back, Trisha did have valid reasons for her dislike of David and all his friends. Trisha went off on Jeff on her Instagram story.
Oh, what she said?
Tell me, disrespected any of your friends. Jeff, you know you were hospital tonight.
Wait. I can't speed up when she talking. God damn. I gotta slow down actually when she talk.
Tell me, disrespected any of your friends. Jeff, you know you were hospital tonight.
And she posted a whole video dragging him.
Hi Jeff, it's me Trish, the person that you can't name. Guess what? I have actually zero respect for you. Literally you just piggybacked off David, and once David moves on or doesn't need you in the vlogs anymore, like so many other people he's done, you two will be irrelevant.
So now you guys can see why them sitting down together and doing this podcast is such a big deal. I feel like just watching those old clips of Jeff, you can really see how much he's matured from his Vlog Squad days to now, and now they're both at a point where they can sit down and talk about Starbucks Gate from their own point of view.
You know, I'm just a loyal friend, so if you broke up with one of my friends and like I see you, I was more like, I'm not gonna give a fake hello because that's easier to do than like, you know, purposely be like, I don't.
But you a bitch. I don't know nothing about this man, but I'm sorry, it's giving bitch, because you think I'm about to leave my drink and my fucking sandwich because somebody walk in and I don't really have a good relationship with. I don't give a fuck. I'm gonna ignore you, but I'm still gonna stay for my sandwich and my fucking drink. I'm not about to run out of there and hurry up and get away just so I don't have to have an interaction with them. How about I'm gonna stand there and if they try to have an interaction with me, I'm gonna be like, anyway, come on, where my shit, where my drink and my sandwich. But you got up out of there. That's weird.
Why don't you just say that to my face then? Be like, look, I don't with you. Like, get out of this Starbucks.
I wouldn't like press you, you know, like.
Trisha said that when she saw Jeff in Starbucks, she was actually having a little bit of hope that they would have this nice interaction with each other, and that would somehow help her get back into the Vlog Squad. Trisha was still talking with Jason as friends, and she was thinking if they had a good interaction, Jeff would go back and tell David, and that would help them warm up to her, I guess. So when Jeff ran out, that really hurt her, and Jeff feels really bad about that now.
And I was excited because I didn't want to be out of the group. I really wanted to be back in that group so bad. I missed it. I was having like PTSD. I was just like, oh man, I want to be back in there. So when I saw you and I thought we were always cool, I was like, oh, this is like, he's gonna be like, oh, I saw Trish, she was nice. So I was like, yeah, it's gonna be a nice exchange.
And now I realize what I did to you. I gave you like I hit you with the cool kids table and like, oh, you can't come in, you know, like.
Yeah, very much.
Which really goes to show you how much of a hold that David had on his friends and his friends' decisions. Jason, being the grown man that he was, much older than David, couldn't get Trisha back in the Vlog Squad on his own. She felt like she needed the approval of other members to be allowed back in. Jeff admitted that when they did Just Trish, right before they started filming this episode for Jeff FM, he was actually freaking out. He was feeling really nervous just because of the whole rocky history that they've had with each other. Trisha said that she actually wasn't nervous. She found the last podcast together to be really therapeutic because it showed both of them that they weren't the problem. Trisha said that she was made to feel crazy from that group, and in a way, Jeff was also made to feel crazy or at fault for his own injury that David caused.
I love it too.
Where is the real tea?
Of you, like, you know what I mean? Like, there's no intimidation factor right now. It's zero.
Are you good completely? Because when I did your show, I was super nervous. I was freaking out. Yeah.
No, I was excited. I really was, because it's just, again, it's like something that it's such a blast from the past, and it's like just like we never ever talked about any of it. So for me, it's like we kind of said it's like therapeutic in a way. Like, oh, someone else felt this way. Someone else was called crazy when we're so different. Our situations were so different, and it's like it wasn't just me. It was like this like weird cult brainwashed mentality that me, you know.
Jeff asked Trisha if she's happy looking back now that David told Jason to stop seeing her. Obviously, that was the reason for the breakup. David didn't like what Trisha was doing to their image. They knew that they couldn't get away with certain things when they had Trisha around. They knew that she could expose them and end them, and they made Jason cut it off. The Vlog Squad was Jason's career, and he chose his career over Trisha. I'm sure that was extremely hurtful for Trisha, and I'm not saying that Trisha didn't have her own issues, because we all know that she did, but now seeing her married to Moses with a baby, Jeff's wondering if looking back, she can at least be happy it ended when it did. Trisha said that she's so happy, and she was reminiscing on just how bad the relationship with Jason was, constantly commenting on what she was eating, and how that kind of became her character in the Vlog Squad.
But aren't you happy that David told Jason not to hang out with you anymore?
Oh my god, could you imagine? Oh, yes, like, could you imagine it? Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the most depressing time in my life, actually. Like, it really was. Like, I thought I was, like, so, like, in love, and it was actually so depressing, and...
Trisha talked about how, in time, more and more things will start to come out, and both her and Jeff agreed that there's a lot more to come out, specifically with Natalie.
Time, even now, I still think time hasn't exposed everything about David and Natalie.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? You know?
And Natalie.
Yeah.
Oh, big time. Yeah.
It'll all come out, and sometimes it takes, like you said, years, and I think, like... And it's not that I wish it, it's just more about being held, like, taking responsibility. Because no one has ever said, like, I'm sorry, this was messed up, like, nothing, you know?
Yeah.
And it's really starting to seem like this is a constant theme whenever Natalie is brought up. A lot of people always seem to have these issues with Natalie, and later on in the episode, Jeff gets more into what she did to him after his accident. They ended up playing a game where they ranked the Vlog Squad members, and on the bottom tier was, of course, David, Brandon, Natalie, and Todd. Jeff talked a bit more about the documentary he put out, and said Nick actually didn't want him to make the documentary in the first place. He said Nick told him that it would make David look bad, so I guess that's why Jeff felt pressured into letting David and Natalie have creative control over the final cut before it went out. He said that he was made to change lines in the documentary, and during this time, Jeff's friends who weren't a part of the Vlog Squad were realizing how insane David and Natalie were acting, and they actually were recording them sitting there with Jeff just out of surgery and making him make these changes to his documentary.
You know, all my people around me that are not, like, creators and like influencers, whatever, and so they were like, yo, this is crazy, I just got out of surgery, my eye's bleeding, stitched up, and they're coming over to edit, and they're like, I was asleep, and they're like calling my crew,
He also showed text messages from Natalie that show her in a very, very bad way. It's clear from these messages that Natalie didn't care about Jeff or what happened to him. All she cared about was making sure that David wasn't being shown in a negative light. In the first message, Natalie says, "Hi, just saw Jeff's tweet. Don't want to bother him, but how'd the edit turn out?" And someone from Jeff's team says, "Good. We cut out the screenshots and changed some verbiage. He's in bad shape today though." And Natalie says, "Okay, cool. Did you guys add the teaser stuff with a positive note at the end?" And then no one replied, and then Natalie said again, "Hi, talked to Jeff yesterday and don't want to bother him or really anyone too much, but can't help checking in. But would love to see it." Positive note to the end is actually so sick and so twisted. How can you be told someone who just had surgery was in a crane accident caused by the person that you work for, and all you care about is making sure that the person who caused the injury is being shown in a good light? Not like, "Oh, how is Jeff? Is there anything he needs? Can we come by and visit our friend?" This just goes to show you what kind of person Natalie is, and judging off of what Jeff said in Trisha's episode, it sounds like there's a lot more to come out about her during the trial. Jeff also talked about the lawsuit and how some of the stuff that was being reported on by TMZ wasn't true. He talked about that article that TMZ broke, claiming that Jeff was suing David for $10 million, and says he doesn't know where they got that number from. He said they're still working through that, trying to come up with a number, because you never really know what kind of issues your eye will give you in the future. Apparently, there's a lot of complications with this type of injury that he has that can happen later on in life, and if that's going to affect his ability to work and do everyday things, then he needs to be fairly compensated. Overall, this episode was really nice to see.
Listen, I always talk about how I am a big supporter of suing. If you can and you actually have a case, sue these people if they've done wrong by you. So I'm in support of that. But Jeff, he don't sit well with me either. I don't know these people at all, by the way. So I can't speak on their character. I'm going based on my intuition and, my abilities and how, I can see someone's face and I could, take note of their demeanor and determine if something's off. And some tell me that something's off with Jeff as well. So there's that. It's based on absolutely nothing. But anyway, y'all let me know what y'all think. Let me know what other videos you want to watch, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye.